I'm sitting in my dark kitchen at 3 a.m., drinking my third glass of cold water, trying to process how a single click of a mouse transformed my life from normal office drone to a surreal nightmare in a matter of hours. I need to vent in detail because I still can't fully believe what happened. This will be long, but I deserve every ounce of this humiliation. My name is Alex, I'm 31. I work as a senior data analyst at a fairly large and respected tech firm that develops enterprise software. I've been here for 3.5 years. I didn't get the job through a headhunter or a competitive process. I was helped by Robert Miller. Robert is my wife Emily's father. He is also the Chief Operations Officer, COO, of this very company. A man with immense authority, one of the founding members, and part of the executive board. Quiet, charismatic, tough when he needs to be. When Emily and I started dating, I worked somewhere else. Robert, seeing my efforts to build a career, and likely the seriousness of my intentions toward his daughter, casually mentioned over dinner one night, "We're having issues with big data processing in the analytics department. I hear you know your way around that. Send me your resume, I'll pass it along. But remember, you sink or swim on your own. I opened the door, the rest is up to you." I was over the moon. This was my chance. I applied, went through all the interviews, and yes, I felt the leniency at some stages due to his invisible presence. But in the end, I could actually do the job. I worked my ass off so no one could call me a nepo hire. Robert and I had an unspoken pact: at work, we are not family. No familiarity, no family talk, no shared lunches. He is Mr. Miller, or Robert, to me. I am Alex, to him. Even at company parties, we stayed in different corners. A photo where we accidentally ended up in the same frame was jokingly called, "a staged meet cute of two colleagues," by Emily. This rule worked, but it created insane internal pressure. On one hand, he's my father-in-law, with whom I have a good, even warm relationship. On the other, he's a high-ranking executive whose opinion I'm terrified of and before whom I want to look perfect. Any mistake I made at work carried double the weight. It wasn't just a subordinate screw-up, it was the screw-up of a son-in-law that could cast a shadow on the family's reputation. Robert was ruthlessly impartial. In meetings, he could tear my report to shreds with icy calm, and I saw in his eyes not a father-in-law's disappointment, but a professional's cold fury at a sloppy employee. And that evening at their house for dinner, he could ask about Emily and offer me a bourbon. This constant switching was exhausting. I lived in fear of making a mistake. And in the end, I made the dumbest one possible. It all started with the quarterly report for the Nexus project. It was a flagship but problematic project. The data was messy, systems were glitching, and my department had to deliver a pretty picture for the board. I procrastinated. The night before it was due, in a panic, I didn't dig deep. I took last quarter's data and adjusted it slightly. I bumped up the client satisfaction percentage, smoothed out the cost spikes, painted a nice growth trend. I knew it was wrong. I convinced myself, I'll have time to double-check everything and provide the real numbers after submission. It's just a formality for the board. Pure self-deception. In the morning, I sent the report with a heavy heart. Through the proper chain. To my direct manager, Olivia, and, as required, CC'd Robert Miller. After hitting send, a fine tremor shook my hands. I waited. The reply came an hour later. An email from Robert Miller. Subject: urgent. Nexus project report. Inside, concise and terrifying. Alex. The submitted data raises serious questions and does not align with primary CRM records. Immediate clarification and a corrected version are required within the hour. Also, see me in my office at 4 p.m. for a detailed review. A cold sweat broke out all over me. He had already checked. He already knew everything. A 4 p.m. meeting wasn't just a conversation. It was an execution, but a private, behind closed doors one. There was still a chance to talk my way out, apologize, redo everything overnight, and get off with an internal reprimand. Parallel to this, I was actively texting with Emily on Telegram. She was enthusiastically planning our summer vacation in Italy, sending links to villas. I was distracting myself with her messages, trying to lower the panic. And at that moment, an email arrived in my personal Gmail inbox. From Emily. Subject: Dad is furious. I opened it, and read the following, I quote almost verbatim. These words are burned into my memory. Alex, hey. Just got off the phone with Dad. He's beside himself. Says you sent some report with cooked numbers, and now he has a massive headache with the board. Called it an urgent family matter. He now has to clean up. He was really sharp, even snapped at me when I tried to stick up for you. What happened? Is it really that bad? He said you're meeting at 4. Please be careful, don't argue with him too much, I know how you get heated. And most importantly, he cannot know we discussed this. He can't stand that. Hang in there. Love you. And yeah, get him that bottle of bourbon he loves, the Blantons, for the weekend. Smooth things over. I already told Mom to bake his favorite apple pie. We'll make peace the family way. This email finished me off. The phrase, urgent family matter, sounded like a death sentence. So, for him, my screw-up wasn't just a professional mistake, but a blow to the family, to his reputation as the patriarch who vouched for an unreliable person. And Emily's plan with bourbon and pie, so domestic and cozy, seemed like a pathetic parody of the impending slaughter. I needed to reply to Emily immediately. Reassure her, take the blame, explain that I understood. My brain, fogged by panic and guilt, stopped processing reality adequately. I quickly switched back to the Outlook tab, where Robert's angry email was still open. I wanted to reply to my wife. All my attention was on crafting the response text. I didn't even glance at the address bar. I started typing, fast, heated, the way I usually write to her. Sweetheart, please don't worry so much. Everything will be okay. Yes, I fucked up royally. I procrastinated on the report, got scared, and started fudging the numbers like a total idiot. He is absolutely right to be angry. I let him down in front of the team and, probably, the board. 100% my fault. But you know what pisses me off? That he's calling this an urgent family matter, and taking it out on you. This isn't a family problem, Em. This is about his career ambitions and his fear of looking bad in front of his peers. Over a stupid spreadsheet, he's ready to start WWII. I understand I failed him as a professional, but why drag the family into it? The 4 p.m. meeting is going to be hell, yeah. I'm braced for it, but I won't argue with him, I promise. I'll just sit there and nod. Like you asked. And the bourbon idea, genius. I'll get it. The biggest bottle. We'll drown our sorrows and make peace, like you always say. Love you so much. Don't stress. It'll work out. It's just a job, after all. P.S. Tell your mom the pie is a masterstroke. He won't be able to resist. I wrote this in one breath. I even felt a slight relief from venting. I moved the cursor to the send button and clicked. For the first few seconds, nothing happened. The email disappeared from the outbox. Then, finally, my gaze slid upward to the to field. Emily's name wasn't there. There was a long, multi-line list of email addresses. I recognized the corporate domains. My world shrank to the size of the monitor. An absolute, office hum drowning ring filled my ears. I read the list again. My brain refused to accept the information. Reply all. I had hit reply all on Robert Miller's email. I had just sent that intimate, pathetic, revealing stream of consciousness to the entire board, the entire analytics department, all department heads. And, of course, to Robert Miller himself. I physically felt the ground disappear from under my feet. My face burned as if slapped. I tried to inhale, but there wasn't enough air. Recall the email. The thought hit like lightning. I frantically opened the Sent Items folder, found the email. The Recall this message function was active. I clicked on it with a plea, with desperation. The system asked for confirmation. I confirmed. A second-long animation started. And a moment later, I got a notification. Recall failure. The message has already been read by one or more recipients. The first to read it, as I later found out, was a young guy on the board who lives in his inbox. Seeing such explosive content, he immediately called the board chairman. The email was out in the wild. The silence in the open plan office where our department sat lasted about a minute. Then came the first stifled chuckle. Then another. Rustling, whispering. My phone exploded. Not with calls. With messages in our corporate Slack. Alex, you good, man? Bro, what did you just do? Dude, this is both genius and horrifying. Hang in there. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the screen. I saw people from the board and HR appearing one by one in the Slack participant list. They were logging in, clearly after an emergency call. And then I saw him. Robert Miller emerged from his corner office. He wasn't walking, he was moving across the office slowly, with unnatural stiffness, like a robot. His face wasn't red with anger. It was white, chalk white, absolutely bloodless. His usually confident, calm gait was wooden. He was walking straight toward me. All conversation died. You could hear a fly. He stopped at my desk. He didn't say a word at first. He looked at me, and in his gaze, there wasn't even anger. There was something worse. Deep, total disappointment mixed with unwavering shame. He looked like someone who had been publicly stripped naked and ridiculed in the town square. And the culprit was me, the person he had brought into his home and his company. Alex, his voice was quiet, hoarse, but it carried in the tomb-like silence of the entire floor. My office. Now. These weren't words. They were a sentence. I stood up. My legs weren't obeying. I followed him, feeling dozens of eyes on me. The looks varied. Shocked, sympathetic, mocking, hungry for drama. The 20-yard walk to his office was a gauntlet. It was the most humiliating and longest walk of my life. In his office, he closed the door, walked behind his huge oak desk, and sat down. He didn't offer me a seat. For a minute, maybe two, he was silent, looking out the window. Then he turned to me. "Explain," he said, just that one word. I tried. I babbled something about stress, panic, mixing up windows, wanting to reply to Emily, not seeing the address. It sounded pathetic and unconvincing even to my own ears. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he slowly shook his head. "Do you understand the scale?" he asked in the same flat, dead tone. "You didn't just admit to data fraud. That's solvable, it's a disciplinary issue, maybe termination. You aired our family's dirty laundry in public. You portrayed me not as an executive dealing with a substandard work product, but as a petty father-in-law who handles work issues through his daughter, bourbon, and homemade pie. You labeled my commitment to quality work as career ambitions. You gave everyone in this office, from the janitor to the board chairman, a key to discuss me not as a professional, but as a soap opera character. My reputation, which I built over 25 years. You destroyed it in 3 minutes of typing." He was right. Absolutely right. I couldn't find anything to say. I could only mutter, "I'm sorry. I have to go to an emergency board meeting now," he continued, looking past me. "And explain why my son-in-law, whom I sponsored, not only half-asses his work but also makes our internal disputes public. And why I, apparently, discuss work matters with my wife and daughter. Do you know what the board's trust is worth? It's now zero." He dismissed me with a wave of his hand. I walked out. Already in the hallway, I was intercepted by an HR assistant. Her face was sympathetic but impenetrably professional. "Alex, you are suspended pending the outcome of the internal investigation. Please gather your personal belongings and surrender your badge now. Your access to all systems has been revoked." I returned to my desk under a barrage of stares. I put my mug, notebook, and phone charger into a cardboard box. No one approached. Only my colleague Dave said quietly, "Rough one, man. It happens. Hang in there." I nodded and walked to the elevator. It's 3 a.m. now. 12 hours have passed since I sent the email. In that time, Robert Miller submitted his resignation. The board didn't try to stop him. Emily, sobbing, said on the phone that he's home, not talking to anyone, just sitting in his study with the lights off. She relayed his words, via her mom. "I can't work there anymore. You, meaning me, got what you wanted. Now I'm not Robert Miller to them. I'm Emily's dad, who likes bourbon and pie. It's over. I am officially suspended. There's a meeting with HR and legal tomorrow. I will be fired for cause due to data falsification. No colleague testimonials will help. It's the cleanest legal solution for the company." With Emily, there's an ice-cold wall. She's not yelling. She speaks quietly, through tears. "I don't know how to look at you. You destroyed my father's career. You made our family a laughingstock. And the worst part is, I know you didn't mean to do harm. You're just an idiot. And that makes it hurt even more." The rumor mill is already churning industry-wide. I've had 2 calls from recruiters already, not with offers, but to clarify the details. My shame has become a local legend. I'm already being called the son-in-law kamikaze and the family demolition man. My professional reputation, which I worked so hard to build, is toast. Sitting here in the dark, I realized that with one wrong click, I lost everything. The respect of my father-in-law, which I now understand. I deeply valued my wife's trust, the career I spent years building, and even basic self-respect. TLDR. In a panic, I accidentally hit reply all on a stern email from my father-in-law, COO, exposing my data fraud, our family relationship, and private plans to smooth things over with bourbon to the entire company leadership. He resigned in shame. I'm getting fired. My wife isn't speaking to me, and I've become an office legend across the local tech scene. The lesson, learned at the cost of everything. Never, ever write personal, emotional replies in a corporate email client. Check the to field 10 times. And if your work and family are intertwined, remember you're walking on a razor's edge over an abyss. One wrong step isn't just a mistake, it's a detonation, and the shrapnel wounds everyone you love and respect. I took that step.